In today's video, we're going to be diving into things and taking a look at this still ongoing and still upcoming. It's going to last so long, it's going to be upcoming, current, and past. We're taking a look at this major storm across the south, the southeast, up the east coast, and impacting some areas across the Ohio Valley as well. Flooding is still a major concern, and honestly, every day it gets worse and worse because we've now had inches of rainfall in some spots due to the beginning of this storm, and the back end keeps getting pushed back further and further to where we still expect the same amount that we expected 5 days ago, except half of it's fallen, and we now expect the same amount that we expected then, which means that we're probably like 150% above what we were expecting then. Right now is what we expect total once it's all said and done. So definitely a whole lot of rainfall on the way. Didn't mean to nerd out there with the percentages. We also have a big time temperature pattern that is going to really bring about a colder pattern. We're kind of in that already. It looks to take hold for quite a while. We do see some signs of warm-ups in the longer range that we're going to be talking about today with you guys as well. And then we're going to be diving into some tropics and severe weather towards the end also. Let's dive into things, and we see already the southeast seeing the impacts of this current situation. A heavy rainfall event for many areas already ongoing. Now, that's just for today, which this video is going to get out a little bit late, so kind of irrelevant. We're going to move towards tomorrow for Saturday on the 20th, and what we're going to see tomorrow is a lot of scattered thunderstorms throughout these areas. So for the areas that do get hit, it is going to impact and bring higher numbers. For the areas that do not get hit, that is, gonna really not impact things too much. It's gonna be hit or miss, so expect there to be a chance, but not a guarantee. But to see a thunderstorm on top of what we've already seen for some areas is definitely gonna bring those totals up pretty high. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody sees, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of rainfall tomorrow alone in some spots, just due to the heaviness of some of these thunderstorms. We do have some more, I would say a little bit more sparse thunderstorms happening across the Rockies and some of the northern plains. This is going to be more scattered, more isolated, and there's going to be a lot more dry patches in there for this western area. Let's go ahead and dive towards Sunday on the 21st of July here, and what we're seeing is once again this south central into the southeast corridor is going to be the hot spot for a lot of these heavier showers and even thunderstorms. Here, we do see that for the Rockies, and if you take that eastward into the plains, we are seeing plenty of showers and thunderstorms once again for this area as well. And there is a passing shower or two for the Great Lakes, New England, and then some of the Mid-Atlantic. I would say it's probably more than 1 or 2, but it just depends on where you're at, of course. As we keep going towards Monday on the 22nd, kind of looks like Groundhog Day here. Heavy rainfall here expected from Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, eastward all the way through the southeast and mid-Atlantic here. We also see that for the upper Midwest and northern plains, we're still seeing some of these thunderstorms and showers as well. We've talked about it a lot this week, but these areas do see pretty frequent bad thunderstorms and even severe weather during these mid to late summer months. So we're always kind of watching for that in this type of a pattern, so keep that in mind. For Tuesday on July 23rd, what we see is that this becomes a lot more of an East Coast special, also Gulf Coast, but now it's really stretching all the way up the East Coast now, which is a bit of a change. We still see the same areas across the South Central and Southeast, but it just has expanded northward for a lot of areas across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and even the rest of New England there. So pretty interesting there as well. Definitely this is going to be a multi-day event on top of what we've already seen, which is already multiple days. So just buckle up. It's going to be a whole lot of rainfall, a lot more than we're used to for sure. Again, plains and upper Midwest seeing another day of potential storminess. Let's take this all the way towards Wednesday here on July 24th, and we see that this all kind of comes together again up and down the East Coast, even up and down the Midwest and Great Lakes here. We're seeing precipitation for all of the East for the most part now, so it's becoming more widespread, but still those original areas that expected the storminess first and have seen multiple days is where the heaviest of it is by this point, which is just not needed. It's so unnecessary, and it's going to bring about those flooding concerns. So you would think that since they've had their fair share, that this would all spread northward and the lighter amounts would be for the areas that have already seen inches, but that's not the way that the weather works. You could see 10 inches of rain and the north could see none, and then you could get 10 inches more in the south and none again in the north. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Let's go ahead, let's keep going, and let's go towards Thursday here on the 25th. And what we see is, again, the east overall seeing storms. Heaviest area is going to be from Texas, Louisiana, kind of up into the mid-Atlantic here. So still those original areas, I would say, by Thursday. Friday here, things lighten up a little bit unless you're kind of in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia corridor here, where we do have a bit of this kind of southeast heavy thunderstorm chance there Friday into Saturday. Here's Saturday into Sunday, and we're seeing, once again, a chance of precipitation in these areas. A little bit less than it was, though, for the past couple of days before this. We also see things picking up out here for the Rockies, so keep that in mind as well. We have some showers and thunderstorms out there. And then for the Northeast, we are seeing some isolated and scattered thunderstorms out there also. For Sunday on the 28th, we once again have some precipitation here in the Southeast. A lot less, I would say, miles covered by this area, though. It's not as widespread. And this even lasts till Monday for some of the Carolinas and Virginia, as well as maybe Georgia and Florida. However, just not as intense or widespread as it once was. So maybe an ending in sight there, but this does keep getting slightly pushed back. You know, we don't really see a dry day necessarily here in the Southeast corridor especially. So that's the concerning thing, is there is no sure thing end in sight, I would say. It's a good way to put it. Total precipitation because of this actually is increasing for some areas. It is decreasing for others, though. We'll point them out. So this area here is where we expect the above average precipitation. Most everywhere else, and we will take a look at the averages, but most everywhere else is seeing near normal precipitation. These red areas is where we're expecting 2 to 5 inches of precipitation, which is a ton. This is only for 10 days, the 10 upcoming days, which is crazy. And then we can also see that there is a brown area, especially when you take northern Alabama through northern Georgia, Carolinas, and a little bit of Virginia and Tennessee there. That is where we expect potentially 5 to 10 inches of precipitation, maybe more for some spots. That is going to be just unreal, especially, you know, we had a lot of rainfall in the Carolinas last week. We've already seen a few inches in especially eastern North Carolina just the past couple of days, and now we expect potentially 5 to 10 more on top of that. I just don't think the ground can handle it, and I live near this area, as you guys know. Some of you do, and the ground can't handle it. It's totally saturated, and, you know, God forbid we have a windstorm come through. We're very, very fortunate that it's not the heart of hurricane season here, and we don't have any tropical threats for this area as of now, because we have seen in the past, I think it was Hurricane Isabel, you know, we've seen hurricanes that were weaker than you would think because the ground was so saturated. They were able to bring about so many impacts. It didn't take, you know, category 3, 4, or 5 winds to bring down, you know, thousands and millions of trees in some areas. I think Hurricane Isabel brought so many down in Southeast Virginia. Correct me if it's a different hurricane. I was about 1 or 2 years old, I think. I don't know what year it was. It was the early 2000s, but I was too young to know what was going on, obviously, outside, as I do now. So a little different times back then. You know, the weather was interesting. I wish I did know about it, but I was just a little too young. But correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I think it was Isabel, though. So definitely some implications there beyond just the normal flooding risk. I mean, this is getting towards kind of climate stuff. Like, it's just so saturated. It's almost like a reverse drought. It's just like over precipitation over a long period of time. As we take a look here at the precipitation anomalies, as I was alluding to, I mean, it's slightly below average for some of these northwest corridors, but hardly. You know, you're within an inch of normal, which is not too bad. It's these southeast areas where we're looking at above average precipitation. Again, lighter greens are going to be just like those browns where it's not too bad. It's, you know, within an inch of normal. It's the darker greens where we're at about 1 to 2 inches above average for only the next 15 days. So I always say this, you know, you probably average about 1 to maybe 2, maybe 3 inches over a 15-day period here in the summer, and that's if you live in a very rainy spot like a coastal area or in the deeper south. That's for the 3 inches over a 15-day period, or approximately 6 inches in a month. That's a lot. So if you're seeing 1 to 2 above your average of 1 to 2 inches on a 15-day period, we're looking at potentially double your average only in the darker greens. Now, as we move into the darker blue, that's 2 to 5 inches above average over just the next 15 days. So we're talking maybe 2, 3, 4x of what you expect to see, which is absolutely crazy. So yes, the blue is expecting a whole lot of precipitation, definitely far exceeding what is normal for this time of year. Now, as we take a look at the tropics here, we don't really see any serious waves come out of the Atlantic still. We are watching this main development region as we do get more and more activity later on, especially. I would say after the 31st time frame is especially when we need to watch. We have a wave right here. We have a wave south of this line as well. They're all coming off of Africa, obviously, and moving through. A little smiley face there. And daily emojis. Wow. As we keep going, we get 2 more waves, actually. Wow, they keep coming back. What's going on here? Let's get rid of that. So as you can see, we have 2 more waves moving through. So that's 3, 4 just since the beginning of August. So we're starting to get that like super active MDR is what we call it, the area between Africa and the Caribbean. So we're seeing more and more of these waves. Definitely something to watch. And I want to show you guys this. This is the Saharan dust. So this is very high right now in this MDR area. So we see the golds, and here's the high concentrations of this dust coming off of Africa. And this holds back tropical activity. And we're really in the peak of that season. You know, this late July timeframe is really when you expect a ton of that. We do see that this does die down, especially for the main areas that we're watching. As we're approaching kind of like the 25th time frame, and we were seeing purples in here, but not quite as large of those super gold areas. They're staying further north here. We have one in the Gulf as well, and then one over here in Africa. So there could be a window here, but I think the main point here is that we see a far decreasing intensity as we go through this model run from the 19th here today to the 24th. That intensity does go down wave after wave as we kind of get that second wave of dust, and here's the third. We're going to have to see how this transpires. But if we see this start to die down in August, watch out, because this is the main thing holding back tropical activity right now. And once this ends, it's basically open season. Now, as we look at the temperature pattern, again, a little cooler right now. We do expect that that's going to last for quite a while until at least the 30th. But we do see some warming signs here, as you can see, even in the east. And that lasts through August 3rd, which is the end of the model run. So cooler, turning warmer, obviously, later on. But this is a pretty long lasting cool down for this time of year. Typically, if you're going to see this type of below average temperature pattern in the summer, you know, you expect it to maybe last 1 to 3 days. This one's maybe pushing 5 or 6 in some areas, which is definitely a pretty intense one for this time of year. Now, lastly, as we just look at the severe weather here, the day 1 categorical outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center outlook, we do see that there is a general thunderstorm risk there in the 2 lighter green areas, both in the southeast and some of the central and western states there. We do also see in the darker green a level 1 marginal risk, and that's where we expect some isolated severe weather to be possible throughout the rest of the day today, overnight. The yellow area there is your level 2 slight risk, where we expect some more scattered about severe weather to begin to be possible. And then your orange for Kansas, Nebraska, and a little bit of Colorado there, as well as a little bit of Oklahoma. That is your level 3 enhanced risk, where we expect a lot more widespread activity in the severe weather department to become a little bit more possible. Day 2 here, we have 2 general thunderstorm risk areas again in the lighter greens, and then the 2 darker green areas once again where we expect some isolated severe weather to occur. Finally, day 3, we just have a very large general thunderstorm risk area across a lot of the southern states and central states as well. Let me check the extended day outlook just to make sure, and we are clear. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.